I really appreciate having Federal Ammo on as a sponsor for this show. They've been a great ammo company for a lot of years. They're really good about working with new media, which I feel like says that they are very on top of things and very with it for a company that has been around as long as they have. And they just have a wide range of selection when it comes to ammo. Everything from their Federal Champion brand, which is a really good, affordable ammo for practice at the range. They also have their American Eagle brand, which is a really good, middle-of-the-road, high-quality ball ammo, practice ammo, defense ammo, whatever you want to use it for. And then they also have really high-end defensive ammo and hunting ammo with premium bullet technologies and all the good stuff. So you got the full spectrum with Federal Ammo. They always seem to keep a lot of it in stock, and it's easy to find. Just a great company. Really happy to have them on as a sponsor and really appreciate them. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Gun Culture Radio. The sponsor for this podcast is SDI, Sonoran Desert Institute. You can check them out at sdi.edu. It's a really cool opportunity if you're interested in being a gunsmith. They have some other firearms technology degrees. Just check out their website. They do take GI Bill, so any veterans out there, it's a cool opportunity. You can't hate a job, in the gun industry. I assume a lot of people listening to this show are gun nuts just like me. It's cool to be able to have a job doing something that you love. Turning a hobby into a job is the true American dream. It's not 2 cars in every garage and a white picket fence. It's having a job that you love. That's the American dream right there, and that should be everyone's dream. That should be the human dream, not just the American dream. Anyways, check that out, sdi.edu. Really appreciate them for the sponsorship. This show is not cheap to make. So anyways, appreciate that and hope you guys enjoy the show. All right, here we are, Gun Culture Radio, and I got a local Nashville comic on here, Monty Mitchell.
Yay! Thanks for having me, man.
Dude, thanks for doing it, man.
This is cool.
Yeah, we talked about it for a long time, man.
Yeah, we have, and
cool.
It worked out today in the blizzard.
Yeah,
the second blizzard. That's whenever I come out.
Snowocalypse too.
Yeah,
yeah.
Did you get your bread and eggs and all that?
Oh yeah, dude, that's still a thing. Like I went to the grocery store not long ago. I think it was during the last one, and it's like it was not just bread and eggs, but like people
it's
just clean them out.
It's everything. Once the bread and eggs is out, then they go to the Chef Boyardee, and you can tell how bad it is when the sardines are gone.
Oh yeah,
they're the fish
little spam cans and Vienna sausage cans and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's when it's bad. That last snow though, I've got like 10 inches or something.
That was a lot,
big
man.
one. That was a big one.
That one really was. People were joking about it, like, "Oh God, it's so crazy!" Like, people that from the north, they love to make fun of Southerners. You can't drive in the snow. But that actually was pretty bad.
Yeah. That one was legit. But we don't have the equipment to deal with it, and we don't see it. That's the first time I remember it snowing, and I don't think we had much last year.
No.
Or the year before.
Well, there was one bad one last year. I remember it was actually around this time last year.
Maybe, but
not
still,
before
once a year.
Yeah,
say once a year that we have to drive in it, and they make fun of us, and
they can go.
I don't have to deal with crappy weather most of the time, and you do. Why would you brag about that?
Yeah,
Why would you brag about?
Yeah, exactly.
I live in the frozen tundra, and I have to drive in this.
Yeah.
I'm good at it.
I got to put chains on my tires half the time. Like, wow, I'm envious
nothing to brag about.
Yeah,
really not.
Not at all. But it's funny though, because driving in the snow is really not that. It's not that hard though.
No,
it's not that big of a deal.
What I've figured out is just don't hit your brakes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And you get behind somebody that is on their brakes like all the time. You try to just get away from them quick because they are going to slide off into the. But I put my car; it's automatic. Put it down in the low if I'm on a hill or something.
And don't get overconfident. That's where people screw up.
That is too. Yeah,
those are the guys that the Northerners are talking about. Is those overconfident people?
The ones that are going 50 miles an hour on a snow-covered road in the middle of town.
Yeah,
you're going to hit something.
Like I ain't worried about this snow. Just flying through there.
Yeah. But that's what I've learned. Just don't hit your brakes.
Yeah. So
it should be all right.
We should tell a story about how I got to be on your show.
You saved my life, John. Yeah. You saved my life. We had a rowdy guy in there. He was coloring in our show, on our comedy show, coloring.
Which it's funny because Like, that doesn't sound like a big deal. Like, people who don't maybe go to comedy clubs are like, so what? He's, it's free country. You can do what you want. But he was sitting right in front of the stage.
Yeah, he was right there. Like, he did it on purpose. He was trying to get a rise out of somebody.
Another thing, it was an open mic. He hadn't paid to be there.
No.
Either. You know what I mean? He just came in there just to be an ass, basically.
Yeah. And I think he said he colors at church. This is a grown-ass man, by the way.
Yeah.
And he colors at church, and the preacher never says anything to him. And it was...
It's a little different, though.
I still don't know if I believe that. Maybe the preacher thinks that you are mentally...
Could be, yeah. It could be.
Don't even want to start that up. But yeah, so anyways... I still had sympathy for the guy at the time because I felt like there was, he was being difficult, and Brad.
Brad Edwards is the
Brad Edwards.
Let's clarify what we're talking about. So, like, there's a place in Nashville called the East Room, and it's just a general entertainment venue, and they do a comedy open mic there once a week, and they have a show on the Spiffy Squirrel on Sunday.
Well, they
nights.
do that on Sunday, and then we do the open mics on Tuesday, and that guy Brad Edwards. I mean, I think he put up with it for a while. And then just eventually, he just had to acknowledge it.
It kind of evolved. Like, it started out.
That guy got.
It's kind of just a fun thing, like, oh, look at this guy. But people were kind of poking fun of it, at it. And then it turned into a heckle because the guy was like, well, I forgot what he said something to Brad.
He got kind of aggressive about it.
He did,
and so. But anyways, and you did, and they eventually got him outside. And so while he was outside, I was out there smoking. And I was just talking to him, and this guy's full of a lot of ideas. He has,
a lot of ideas.
I think he really is a smart man, but he has a lot of, I feel like that he likes
confused.
he does like to start trouble.
Yeah.
They said he's been kicked out of every bar down there in East Nashville.
Yeah.
I don't know, but anyways. So I'm just talking to him. I'm sympathetic. I kind of feel bad for him. I also want to know what in the world.
What's the deal with this guy?
What is this? Yeah, what is this for this guy? And he tells a story about meeting his wife, and we were just talking. That wasn't, and I thought it was hilarious, and it was kind of enduring. You know, he saw her on the dance floor, and he immediately liked her.
Okay, you should. We can get by with this. You should say the joke.
I forgot even how it went. Something about white girls dancing, or he dances with his sunglasses on because he don't like to watch white people dance.
That's right. Yeah.
And that was funny, but it was still just a conversation between me and him that
Well, it wasn't a joke until you.
It wasn't a joke till I went up there, and I did. I said, I told him, I said, I don't know why y'all giving this guy a hard time. He's a funny guy. I can't remember what I said because it was on the fly. But I told the story about him putting his sunglasses on because he didn't like to watch white people, and he's standing in the back, and all of a sudden he just goes ape crazy, and says, you stole my joke. You stole my. If he was working on material on me out there. He should have said something.
Right.
This was just a conversation that we were having, and I didn't know if he was working. But I think it's like you. Once it got laughs, he said that was his joke. Yeah.
And that's something like, I'm still pretty new to the comedy scene, but it's something I kind of gathered early on and even just kind of made sense to me even before. You don't really like try material on people without their knowledge.
Shouldn't.
It's really not.
It's annoing. I mean, there's a lot of comics that do it, and
I don't really like to me. It's a little awkward because it's like when you're talking to someone, you don't want to feel like they're doing a bit or something when they're talking to you. You know what I mean? That's a
like
little
if
weird.
me and you were talking and we said something funny, I might tell you right then. I was like, "Oh, that's a bit. I want to write that one down."
Right.
Or you can have that. That was really funny.
Yeah.
You can have it. But just to work on stuff, and there's a couple of guys in town, and they're always working bits on you, and once you figure it out, it's annoying. You don't like to. It is the whole conversation we just had was nothing. You set me up.
Yeah, exactly.
To do your bit, to do your joke, and
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't.
So anyway, so you're not really supposed to do that anyways. It's kind of a weird thing. So it's kind of like it's his own damn fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that really was what he was doing.
I don't think it was. I really don't. I don't think that was a joke. I think, he was trying to be funny, but then for him to sit there and say, you stole my joke, and then that just went into a big, because that's the number one rule in comedy is you don't steal jokes.
Yeah,
Number one rule. Number one rule. That's it above everything.
Yeah.
Do not steal jokes. And I would never do that.
Yeah.
I really was trying. I forget how that all started off, but I was trying to make him not the bad guy. Like I was coming in to tell this funny story that he had just told me.
Yeah.
And then he takes that into a.
Yeah.
You remember he was back there? I mean, he was
he wouldn't know,
yelling and screaming. You stole my joke.
Yeah. And we'll get into stealing jokes. We'll get into that in a minute because that's a topic right now. But so basically what happened was the guy, okay, we kind of told that story in like a really crazy way. Let me do like a quick rundown of what happened, right? Okay, so it's so easy to do this on radio.
This is ADD right here. I feel like both of us have it, and there's probably not going to be one story finished today. We'll start it, and they'll be like, so how did he get on the show?
Yeah.
I forget.
I'll give like a rundown of what happened basically. Okay, so this guy, he comes in. He looked a little bit like Wesley Snipes when he was hiding from the cops in U.S. Marshals. He had that same hat on, the sunglasses.
He did.
He looked just like him.
Yeah.
He comes in, he sits right up front, he's coloring, and because comedians start making jokes out of it because that's just what you do, especially at an open mic. Brad, the host, which is a very funny guy, host of the open mic at the East Room. Brad Edwards, he has an album out actually, by the way.
Yes, he does.
Yep. Anyways, I'll get through this story eventually.
It's really good.
Yeah. I
got a copy.
It is good. Yeah.
I've always been a fan of Brad's.
He's great.
Whenever I first started, I thought, he's the funniest guy in Nashville, and he still is.
He's really funny. That two fat nurses thing gets me every time.
Well, and then the little dynamic that him and Sean and Gary have at the East Room. And they crack me up just constantly. But Brad's always been so funny. He should be on the road. He's just lazy. I don't know what it is. He should be on the road. Though. He's hilarious.
He should. Yeah. So anyways, he's the host. And, Okay, go ahead. So this guy's in the front. He's coloring, and then comedians are making jokes about it, and then. He kind of gets the guy finally gets noticeably irritated, right?
Right.
And then Brad feels like he has to justify why people have been joking on him. And Brad said something to the fact like, well, you've been sitting there and you haven't laughed once. And then the guy goes, well, say something funny then.
Yeah.
So then it's like a switch flipped, and immediately it's like, oh, now we've got a heckler on our hands.
Yeah.
And then Brad goes into like dealing with a heckler mode, and it escalates, and it gets to the point where you're like, is this guy about to fight Brad right now?
Yeah, I remember all the tables around. Everybody started moving because you didn't know what this guy was going to do.
And Brad handled it really well.
He did.
And Brad was just like, I'm not going to fight you. Like, I don't want to fight you. You're crazy, And then a bunch of us got up and then came over to the guy, and we're basically like, you're going to have to leave. This is a private place. You can't be here.
Yeah.
Causing this problem. And then he was acting crazy. But then when he saw how many people were around him, he was like, all right. So he started packing up his stuff. He goes outside, and I think you were outside at the time.
It was after, that's whenever I talked to him. Then after my set, after I got off from making fun of him, I went out there to tell him, I didn't mean to steal your joke.
Yeah.
I was going out there to apologize or make things better.
Well,
when
you were talking to him, though, that before you went on was when he got kicked out first, right? Like he got kicked out.
He was kicked out, but he didn't leave. He was outside.
That's right. He was outside. That's when you talked to him. He told you all that stuff that you were saying before.
Yes, that's right.
And then you went back in and you went up.
And I went up and I told the story about him, and then he claimed,
Yeah. And then at that point, I heard him yelling again. So then I went back outside.
Yeah.
And then that's when all the it happened.
And then that's whenever he wasn't aggressive at the moment. He was doing a lot of yelling, but he wasn't being like really aggressive. But anyways, he touched me, and that's whenever you jumped in and you said, "Don't touch him."
Yeah. Well, because I know from security, like from my security days, especially if someone's being aggressive towards you, like technically touching someone is assault. Okay. Right. And you have to set up clear boundaries. You know, if someone's if someone is being confrontational, right?
And he was being confrontational.
He was for sure. And there's nothing you can really do if they're just being confrontational, as long as they're keeping their distance.
Yeah.
But you have to, if you want to be able to do anything, you have to make like really clear boundaries so that when they cross them, then you can react. Yeah. And that's basically what I was doing.
And it did. And you told him, you said, okay, don't touch, y'all. You know what it just don't touch him. And I did. I felt like you probably saved my life, because after he touched me, who knows? It could have really escalated. You know, I think he grabbed my arm. He didn't grab it hard, but it was enough that you know, and I was uncomfortable with it. I could not talk to him. He was just yelling and screaming, and
it was crazy. And it would have been, we joke about like I saved your life, but it would have been fine.
No,
probably,
but it is. It's funny.
It's still funny.
It is funny, and you deserved to be on the show. You did really good.
Thanks, man.
And I like the new joke. I don't want to say it on here. I don't want to give it away, but you know what I'm talking about. That I'll tell you afterwards. But,
okay. You know, is it the one? Because I've already released one of the jokes about. The birth control joke, I released that one where I'm talking about the
this one has to do something with Sasquatch.
Oh, okay, yeah, that one.
I like that one.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah,
thanks. But yeah, that was funny though, and it was a crazy night because some dude, like when I went back inside and was sitting down, I usually sit like in the middle of the aisle, and this guy on the other side of the aisle was so drunk that he like fell over against me, like spilled his beer on me and stuff.
That same night?
Yeah, the same night.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. Usually it's not like that down there. It's usually really everybody's really cool.
Everybody's cool, and I do. I feel bad about that night with that guy. If that's the way he feels, I really do.
Yeah,
that's not what I was.
The thing is, like you said, this is what this person said.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I said this is what he told me. And then I told it, and then he says I still trying to steal his joke.
Like it was such a ridiculous thing for someone to say that it became a joke.
Everybody in there knew.
Oh yeah, like that's what made it a joke, is because it was like you didn't even have to put punchlines in it. You just said what he said, and it was funny by itself.
I thought it was being, I don't know. But anyways,
that was funny though. But yeah, so on.
But the East Room and a lot of times on Tuesday nights, you know, before East Room there were Spankies. And everybody used to come to Spanky's, and then they split, and Spanky would be packed, and now Spanky's shut down, and now East Room's packed again.
Yeah.
And I like that. I liked it whenever I first started. We pretty much just had Spanky's open mic, and then you might have had Spring Water once a month or something like that. But that was it. If you missed Spanky's, you didn't get to perform for another week. Now we've got two shows a night that we can go to.
Yeah.
And well, for most nights, we got 2 on Monday, 2 on Tuesday.
Yeah.
You got 1 somewhere on Wednesday. Most of the time you might have 3 on Wednesday. You'll probably find 1 on Thursday. And it's just, and that, you know, whenever I started, that's 7 years ago. Well, it's fixing to be 8 in April, it doesn't matter. And just in that time that everybody, and this is the best comedy scene. I've said it 100 times. I'll say it again. I would put Nashville comics, and you know, but I put us up against any other city. We have so much diverse in our acts, and you know, from you to me and everybody. I didn't realize that we used to do a comic swap over at Spanky's on Halloween, and you would, like, I would pick you and you'd pick me, and we'd even try to dress like each other.
That's funny.
And then I would do your bits and you would do my bits, and it wasn't till watching you try to do me and me try to do you, or anybody else, you know, Ashley trying to do the one that sticks out in my mind. Ashley Corby tried to do this guy named Ken Webb. He died, God rest his soul. But seeing the difference between everybody, that I realized how different that we all are.
Yeah.
And I really do. I think Nashville has a great comedy scene. You know, we're going to beat the world record last year. Going to do it again.
Yeah, that's a really cool thing.
5 minutes this year.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But
yeah, I think the only scenes I've really experienced are the only other one I guess is Atlanta, and there's a lot of really good comics down there.
Huge.
But it's you're right though. Nashville is really diverse. That's one of the cool things about it. Even more so than LA. That's one thing that bugs me a little bit about like the non-big name comics out in LA. Like if you watch, like I watch a lot of times. I watch the Laugh Factor YouTube channel. Just 'cause I like to see comics who are not like big names. You get the process a little better.
Right.
You know what I mean? When they're not like, you watch Louis C.K., it's hard to learn anything, at least for me, from someone like that, because he makes it so smooth and perfect.
Right.
But they all sound kind of the same, though. That's the thing that I've noticed. Is they don't have a lot of uniqueness. They all have this very similar delivery style, and it's just, it gets old almost after a while.
I'm not sure, but I think it's kind of like rap. I think there's like a West Coast style and an East Coast style.
Yeah, I think there is. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I've not.
And Nashville is such a hodgepodge because everybody's moving here from all these different places and stuff. A lot of the guys on the local scene and girls they come from different places. They're not even from Nashville and stuff. So.
Yeah, a lot of people
not from Nashville.
A lot of people aren't. I mean, I'm from Tennessee,
right
down the road, but I would still consider myself. But there's a lot of people that's not from here. People from Iowa and Kentucky and whatever.
Yeah. But it's cool though. And the people listening, most people I think know by now that I'm doing comedies. I've put a couple of videos up and stuff like that, and but it's just it's fun. I just really enjoy it.
Oh, it's addicting. It's terribly addicting. And but this is something that I've wanted since I was in kindergarten.
Yeah.
Truly was. I made people laugh at lunch one day, and that's what I wanted to do. I didn't get started till later in life. I was like 35 whenever I started. But in a way, I feel like I'm I got to catch up.
Yeah.
I should be a lot further in my career than I am. But if I tried to do it whenever I was 21, what would I have to talk about? At that point in your life, you've not lived much. You've not had a lot of heartaches, and that's what makes comedy.
Yeah.
The bad thing is, it is tragedy equals comedy, or what is it? Tragedy plus timing equals comedy.
Yeah.
And I think that if I had tried it back then, that I probably would have failed really bad, and I wouldn't have never tried it again. And so for me to come back in after having kids and marriage and
that's interesting that you say that, because I've actually had a similar thought, because first of all, when I was growing up, I didn't really know what stand-up comedy was. My parents weren't into it or anything, but I always was kind of the kid. I always would try to be goofy and do stuff or whatever, and there's been several times in my life once I found out about stand-up where I thought about doing stand-up, but I always had something to pull me away from it, like sports or something, or I would see like really good people do it and be like, I could never do that, but then every time I would hear like comics talk about different aspects of it, or like the kind of people that end up being comics, and I was like, damn, like that sounds like something I should try.
I think everything happens for a reason. If the sports and all that stuff was taking you away, it wasn't your time to try it yet. Yeah. And I think that's what's happened with me. I still wish I'd started a little bit earlier, but
yeah, same here. But I think it's true though what you're saying about, like, if I had started when I was younger, I wouldn't have necessarily. And plus, comedy's a weird thing. It's hard to quantify it. Like, do you necessarily lose that much? Like, am I at that big of a disadvantage? Let's say 10 years in the future, am I really that big of a disadvantage as someone who started 3 or 4 years before me? Maybe not, because it really kind of comes down to how much you put into it and how often you get on stage, or what your jokes are. Or
if you'd started at 21 and you was able to stay with it, and can you imagine by now that you did stay with it, your writing would be through the roof. By now you'd probably be doing
hopefully
movies
I don't know. Yeah,
and
right.
all that. When Eddie Murphy did Delirious, don't fact check me on this, but I'm pretty sure he was 18 years old when he did Delirious. And that's amazing, the material that he had. at that point. And that's
nuts.
that's the tape that I grew up listening to. That's what I wore that cassette tape out, and I listened to it over and over. I knew every joke by heart, and then the other one that I listened to over and over was Jackie Martlin, Joke Man, and he was on Howard Stern. I listened to his over and over, and I knew every one of his jokes too. And but yeah, look at Eddie Murphy now. He started when he was 18. Actually, I heard he was even hanging out with some guys when he was 16 years old. He was hanging out at the comedy clubs when he was 16.
Wow.
And
it's like Bill Hicks. He was sneaking out of his parents' house when he was 13 and going down to comedy clubs and stuff. And you hear stuff like that, and you're just like, Jesus, I'm just fooling myself thinking I could ever even do decent at comedy starting so late. But the thing is, though, like a lot of my jokes are based off of ideas that I've had like forever. Mm-hmm. Stuff that I thought of like 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And now I have a place to do something with those ideas.
Right.
And it's like, well, like you said, would I have even had the material at that age, at that time in my life, So
yeah. I think, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of young guys out there that are doing really good. There's a dude in Atlanta, and I can't think of his name right now, but he was 18 whenever I saw him, and he just killed it. But at that time though, it's kind of a abstract type jokes that you're doing there.
Right.
They're almost like of course this guys were way more sophisticated, but they're almost like knock knock jokes or why the chicken crossed the road jokes. That they're not life experiences that he's turned into jokes.
Right.
They're I think that's the way to say it. They're abstract. They're what ifs and stuff like that.
Like a Mitch Hedberg kind of that kind of thought process.
Yeah, exactly. And it was great. It was great. But from what I've seen, Stephen Wright, he's exception. But a lot of these guys, you look at Ralphie May. You look at John Reep, you look at the successful ones, it's all about their lives. I mean, their lives are an open book. And the enduring part of it and the part that makes people want to keep coming back to you and watching your shows is what happened to you next. You know, what happened to him since the last time I saw him. And you are telling jokes, but it's also stuff that people can relate to, that people get. And
it keeps you coming back. Well, look at Bill Burr. Like, he's really blowing up right now. And these people are talking about him as being one of the best comics.
Oh, I love him.
He's great.
I love
him.
him.
If you think about all of his jokes, you really feel like that's that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're hearing Bill Burr's inner soul when you listen to him do stand up,
Yeah, and that's Louis C.K., you know? That's all. He talks about his daughter crapping on the floor.
Yeah.
You don't make that up. That really happened, you know?
Yeah.
He's crapping in the toilet and she's crapping in the floor, and he can watch her and he can't do nothing. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But also, too, the art of it. And Rick Roberts told me this a long time ago that a lot of times it's not what you say, but how you say it and how you deliver it. And you think about Bill Burr, he's got that high-pitched voice. Sometimes he gets tore up. He gets a lot of passion in there, and it's hilarious. And that's what makes that joke too. It's not. I would say, I don't know, but it is. It's how he's saying it is what makes it funny. You could tell his story just like me and you talking.
Yeah.
And it's probably not going to be that funny. No. But when he gets wound up and he's just biting at the bit and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He's talking about going in those chat rooms. You ever heard of that one? He's going in the chat rooms and he's got this guy just so messed up. He said, I just pictured him on his computer, just standing in his chair, just yelling at me in the computer. But it's the whole way that he tells it. And it's the whole way that Louis C.K. And, a lot of people give Dane Cook, say he's not funny, he don't have punchlines, blah. But he's a performer. He delivers it very well. He has this. I like him. I appreciate what he does. I think he's funny, but he has a passion. And he has his. He's got this cool voice.
Yeah,
and
he does have a cool voice. Yeah.
And I'm a fan. I appreciate how he does it. But everybody's different, and that's why you stand out
Right.
More than other. That's why Stephen Wright stands out. That's why Bill Burr. All of them are different. All of them have their own style. Jim Gaffigan, another one that's completely.
That's true.
Not like anybody else.
That brings me to something else interesting that I think about with comedy. So like especially big comics, because that's the one people that know they're listening to the show. Like with the big comics, they all have their own unique thing, like you're saying. But I've noticed that there's some comics where if their uniqueness is too specifically unique, it can almost get people like burn out on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Louis C.K., for example, he's like really standed the test of time, it seems like. He's been big for a pretty long time. But then like Jim Gaffigan, he was real big for a little while, but then he's kind of tapered off a little, I think.
I don't know. I think maybe you have that following. And, I mean, you could say the same for Dennis Miller. I don't know if me and you talked about it, but Dennis Miller's references and stuff way above my head.
Yeah.
The words that he uses. And I'm just like, did this guy ever do open mics in
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
How would, could you imagine this guy coming to East Room and trying to throw out all these big words and references? There would be nobody laughed. How did that guy ever take off and make it so big?
I know.
But he has this hardcore following of people. And that's what I think, that's what you got to find.
Yeah, it makes sense, I guess. Yeah.
I met Larry the Cable Guy. A lot of people maybe more don't like him than do, but the ones that do is enough.
Yeah.
Bill Cosby once said, if you could just get 1% of the population to like you, you're set for life.
That's a lot, though.
It's still a lot, but it's 1% if you think about it.
Larry the Cable Guy's example, he's a guy that sort of fizzled out a little bit, where like Jeff Foxworthy, I think he'll always kind of be around.
Jeff Foxworthy, and I don't know if people give him credit enough for it, and I still think Larry Cable Guy too, but they're both really clever. It's just the accent that kind of
Jeff's a little more real. That's the thing I like about Jeff. I feel like Jeff is a little bit more like himself on stage, where Larry the Cable Guy's more
what
of a character.
is a character,
right?
And that's true. That's
not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that's kind of what I prefer.
Right. Yeah, and you're right. I mean, and Jeff Foxworthy, he's another one. Talks about his life. Everything is about his life. And I think Larry the Cable Guy, he is more of a jokey joke. It seems like he has gotten married and he has a kid and stuff now, and I think he does talk about that more. But just his style, there again, his delivery. Larry the Cable Guy has made millions and millions of dollars just off his delivery on a joke that might not have been that funny, but the way that he said it.
Yeah, he has great delivery.
He really does.
Ron White is another one.
I love Ron White.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
He has such a cool delivery.
Yeah.
And
he's just so cool and calm. I was talking about this earlier too. But that's it, Ron White is cool and calm and collected. I don't think he ever raises his voice. So different from me.
Yeah.
I like to yell and I like to frail around and stuff.
Yeah, I love it though.
and I was asking Nate Bargatze, I was like, man, I wish I had the confidence like
he's great. Yeah.
I had that confidence like you where he just delivers it. It's almost a deadpan type thing. And they're so well written, and it's his personality and stuff. It's perfect. But I told him, I said, I wish I had the confidence just to do that, but I've got to ramp it up,
But that's you though. That's like your thing,
I guess so, because he was like, that's what he told me. He said, well, I would like to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? And he goes, that's the way it is in show business. He goes, all the rock stars want to be comedians. All the comedians want to be rock stars. Everybody wants to be somebody else. And that's just the way we are.
It's like when I first got started, which I'm still really am first getting started, but like when I first got started, I thought that I thought that I couldn't necessarily deliver stand-up comedy the way that I would try to be funny like in regular life, because my sense of humor is kind of deadpan usually.
Yeah,
like I'm not a real animated guy just because I'm real laid back, and I don't know, it's just not who I am. And I thought that the only way I could be funny on stage would be like I've got to like get a little bit more animated, and I started out doing some of that at first, but then I was like, No, I don't feel as comfortable with it. I need to start being myself more.
Yeah, you got it. That's the thing. That's what they always tell you when in comedy, finding your voice, which is just another way of saying being yourself, I guess.
Or if you're going to be a character, then be a character, or just be yourself.
Right. I don't know. I think I am a little bit different than on stage than I am regularly. I'm kind of shy. I'm kind of shy guy, and I can't do. And I've already done another podcast this morning. I hope we don't have the same audiences, but this is what I talk about. This is it. I'm not good at doing small talk.
I'm like that.
It makes me nervous. My armpits start sweating if it's just me and somebody. With you, it's easy. A lot of my comedy friends, it's easy to start, but just
because we're all like that.
yeah. But we've got something that we can talk about.
Yeah.
That's not small talk. Like some stranger on the street trying to just talk. Strike up a conversation, and I know people that can talk to a wall all day long and just have the greatest conversation. I can't do it.
Grocery store is the worst for me, man. Especially like Whole Foods. Like, I don't know what they train those people to do, but like whenever you go to Whole Foods, a lot of grocery stores it's hit or miss. But at Whole Foods, every damn time that I go there, they feel like they gotta strike up some conversation. So,
Really?
how was your weekend?
Really?
Stuff like that, and it's like,
is it checking out or just
checking
the people?
Out.
Okay,
no, checking out.
I didn't know if they're like stalking and they have to stop and say, "Hey,
what'd
you do this weekend?"
no, not quite that bad.
Okay,
but it's like when you're checking out, and it's like, well, okay, you got like maybe a minute, basically.
Yeah.
It takes for them to ring up all your groceries.
Yeah.
So how was your weekend? And it's like, okay, what
yeah,
it's like, what do you?
Fine.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't. Or you always say good. How was yours?
Yeah, how was yours? Like you care.
That's my immediate. Yeah. I'm fine. How are you? Yeah. It was good. How about yours? That's about as most as I can do on small talk.
It always makes me want to just bring up some random. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Do like if you could if you use that quick about how you skinned a possum, or
there you go.
shot your neighbor's cat, or something just ridiculous, and see what they could come up with. But we should start loading up.
We should,
with just ridiculous stuff.
Dude, let's do a show on that. Let's do like a web series. We'll go to Whole Foods and we'll buy some.
Follow around the camera.
Yeah, have someone follow us with a camera, a little spy camera.
Yeah.
Whenever they do that, just have some crazy to tell them.
Yeah, just have something. Locked and loaded, just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And to video their face.
Oh man. Yeah, so I'm with you on that one for sure. But I don't remember what the hell.
I don't either.
Oh yeah. That's the cool thing about podcasting, though, is it's just, I appreciate the people that like I like podcasts. I like to listen to them. I don't have time to listen to a lot of podcasts, but the people that like podcasts in general, and especially the ones who listen to my podcast, like I appreciate them so much because it's so cool to be able to just have like a real conversation that people like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's such a cool thing. It's the same thing with the YouTube channel, that we do with Hickok 45. Is the same kind of thing. It's like, wow, because I don't know if you've ever seen the videos, but like our style is like we don't do a lot of editing. It's not like a highly produced thing. It's almost like a live show that we just film kind of. Yeah. And we started
People
out,
appreciate that. They don't like all the glitz and glamour.
Well, that surprised me so much because we started out doing it just because that was all we knew how to do. But then people liked it. We're like, this is cool. So we can just do this like real, and we don't have to put a bunch of extra effort into it that's not really going to make it better.
Yeah.
In our opinion, it's great. It's like I like stuff that's just real. There's something cool about that.
Yeah, and especially like a lot of the big name comedians, they all have that now. Mark Maron.
Yeah. He had the president on the one time.
Well, he had Chris Rock on it, and Chris Rock was like, Mark went up to his office, and Chris, very busy man now, he's a big deal. Bet. And Mark's interviewing him while he's eating a sandwich, and you can hear him, you can hear him. But that's real.
Yeah.
That's Chris Rock eating Subway.
Yeah.
Right there. You just heard it. And that guy that's another one. So smart. My gosh. Man, yeah. He just knows human behavior, and he can just nail it down. And that's another thing that I've always wanted to do, is if you can nail down that everyday behavior interaction between people, and being able to put it into a joke, just grasp that stuff that people don't realize that they do,
right? And
you're able to bring it out there and say, how ridiculous is this? How did y'all? But I'm not good at that. I'm not good at I like people watching, but I'm not good at
I like articulating it. Yeah. Same way.
Yeah.
That's one of the things, because some of the very first jokes that I wrote, it was just about like, can I think of anything that could remotely be funny? But it's like now I want to like write stuff. It's fun to write stuff that's like personal, the things that you experience and stuff like that. Like that stuff is really fun to write about,
right?
Because it's like you get to share it with people and have fun with it in a way that's like not awkward. It's like, what I mean? It's like a lot of jokes. It's like stuff you would never just bring up necessarily in a regular conversation a lot of times. But like somehow on stage,
it's okay.
It's like cool, and then if you put it in a certain way, it's like people enjoy it.
And that is saying that at the same time, it's still, and I've heard somebody else say it, but it's just weird to go up to strangers, in front of strangers, and start talking. And hope that they laugh. That's the weirdest thing.
Yeah, it is.
It's the weirdest concept that I don't know when it started. And gestures back in
probably
dark ages and stuff, that was around. But,
it's a weird
But it
thing.
is, whenever you're able to do it, the laughter that you get from a stranger is the most rewarding thing that you will ever feel. Like
I can't sleep for a while after shows.
I know, that's the way I am too. If I had a good show, it doesn't matter. If I had a bad show, I'll be up worried about it.
Yeah.
I'll be, what did I do wrong? Should have said this, shouldn't have said this. And if I have a good one, I'm like, that felt good. And it's nothing that, it's almost a high that you can't, but, not everybody can do this. Not everybody, you've heard a lot of people say, I could never do stand-up. And it does take a special kind of person to be able to do that. It takes a special kind of person to do all the professions in the world.
It does, yeah.
A special person to be a policeman, a special person to be a nurse.
Yeah.
That's all.
And for people that, watch all the gun videos and stuff, it probably seems like out of left field. A lot of people that I know, actually, it seemed out of left field for me to try comedy. But for me, it really wasn't. Not because I like knew I was funny, nothing like that. It's just that I've always really enjoyed comedy, and I've always like every time I hear people talk about what comics are like, I'm like, that's me. Like I'm like that. You know what I mean? Like I have those same weird things and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I should try it. Like I feel like it could be, I've always kind of felt like it would be just a thing that I should try, but I always would just talk myself out of it.
Right.
And then finally I was like, you know what? I need to do this, even if it goes like really bad and I just bomb every single time I go on stage. I feel like it'll just be good for me just to get up there.
Eating at you, and you just, you got to do it. It's therapeutic, possibly. I used to think, that a lot of these guys that do comedy, they're weird, and they know it. And for a long time, I was like, I think I'm the only normal guy that does comedy. But no, I'm realizing I am weird. I am so weird. You're weird anyways to want to do it.
It's true. It is weird. Yeah, you got to be. A little bit.
Probably everybody's a little bit mental.
And you know what? And not weird in a way that like people normally think of weird. Like, because I've seen some people do comedy that are just weird.
Yeah. And
it doesn't usually go very well.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times the comics seem like they're weird in like a social kind of way. Mm-hmm. People who think a lot. Mm-hmm. And I think those two things kind of go hand to hand. Like people.
It is. You got to be outside of normal thinking.
Right.
That's what makes you a comedian. And that's what makes you funny.
And that's what makes you have social problems.
Man.
Because if you're thinking about lots of different things, you don't relate as well to regular people on a small talk level.
Right.
If you, like we were talking about earlier, if you get into like a big long discussion or whatever,
you're fine.
Then it's probably fine. But like, how's your weekend type of stuff?
Yeah.
Like people who are thinking about a lot of different things, that's hard to bring it back down. My weekend. Okay, now how do I say this in a way that like where I have time and it like isn't awkward and it makes sense, you know. And then by the time he figured it out, it's like the moment's passed. You know,
yeah,
it's happened to me so many times.
But I do think that's what makes us, you know, you do think different than normal, but that's how you write jokes.
Yeah,
because you know, all your jokes, they should be, or most of them are. There's something clever that you say at the end, or a way that's there's something different. There has to be something different. You can take everyday things like going to the grocery store, and if you can make it funny and hit it from a different angle than what everybody else thinks, there's comedy for you. And so immediately you already got to kind of think wrong or different than everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's
And that's one reason that it is such a big deal to steal somebody's joke. I heard, I was listening to one of Joe Rogan's podcasts, and he was talking about how they were talking about the Amy Schumer thing, and he was talking about how the reason that people get so upset for someone stealing a joke almost more so than a musician stealing songs or any other creative endeavor stealing stuff from somebody else is because when that person is making that joke, you feel like that's a part of them.
Yeah.
And if they stole that from someone else, then it's like you're being lied to. And I thought that was a really great way of kind of explaining why it's irritating. And also, it's not just that. That's like from a fan perspective.
You're getting lied to from a fan perspective.
But for other comics, it's kind of like, wait, what?
It's that was a piece of me.
Yeah.
And a lot of times these jokes, and people don't realize this, but word placement is very important. You know, you put the funniest word towards the end. This is the rules.
Yeah.
You put it towards the end of the punchline. So a lot of times you'll find us talking in a way that you normally wouldn't structure a sentence, but you're trying to get that word to the very end, and it's a little trick that you do. But I've spent, a lot of these jokes. You sit there, you might only spend 3 minutes, 5 minutes writing them down, but they've stewed up here in my head, maybe for weeks. I've got a lot of premises in my phone right now that's just still up here stewing around. And how do I make that work? I know this premise is funny, but where's it at? And I've done that. I've had a lot of them that stayed up there for months, and then it just clicked. That's how it is. Yeah. But that's a lot of energy. That's a lot of manpower.
Somebody just takes that from you,
and then you just take it from you. Easy as that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. A larger scale example would be like someone taking your invention or something.
Yeah.
If you had like a really good invention.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. But also, on the flip side of that, like, there's only so many funny topics out there, right? So people can step on other people's material, I think. I think that does happen because it's kind of like a minefield. Like, for example, if you sat down and you decided, I'm going to write a joke about Tinder, that's a minefield. That's a big old minefield.
Yeah, and there is a lot. And there's a lot of GPS jokes out there.
Yeah.
How do you make yours, better?
Yeah. But so like that, so I think jokes being similar is bound to happen sometimes. The way I've always looked at it is like if I ever had a joke that sounded like somebody else's or it was exactly like someone else's, I would hope that somebody would just tell me.
Yeah, me too.
And then I just stopped doing it. It's as simple as that. You know what I mean? Like, I know I'm not stealing jokes. You know you're not stealing jokes. I'm not worried about it. If someone says, hey, I've got that joke and you can show it to me or whatever, and it's someone I trust. Right. It's not just some random idiot. It's like, I think I heard that joke somewhere. Well, if it's like my best joke, it's like I kind of need to know where it came from before I'm just going to get rid of it.
Right.
But if I know someone did it, done. It's over. I'm not doing that joke again.
Yeah.
And then move on with my life.
And but it's kind of, I'd hate to give up any jokes, if I wrote them.
Yeah.
I did write them.
Yeah.
But if you write them, just to give them up, because somebody more famous is already telling something that's really similar to yours.
And it happens.
It's heartbreaking.
Like,
but
you have the same, like, this is a good example. I had this joke that I was all excited about. And this was actually something I had thought about before. It was an example of something I had thought about before I even wanted to do comedy. And I just kind of had retrieved it. This idea about the guy, I can't remember now. The guy so there was some guy, maybe it was the guy that killed John Lennon. There was some guy who killed somebody famous and claimed that his dog told him to do it. Right? And I had this idea like, why would you listen? Like, why would you listen to your dog?
What was that? Was that Lennon?
I think it might have been Lennon. And
because the guy that shot Reagan, he was trying to do it for Jodie Foster.
I think so, yeah.
So it must have been Lennon.
So I had this idea. I was like, well, okay, your dog talked to you. That's weird, but why would you listen to your dog if it told you to kill somebody? And I was like, that would be a funny joke. I just so happened to find an interview from like 1991 that I just ran across on YouTube, of Louis C.K. on this old show that hasn't existed in forever. And he does that joke.
Same thing?
He does that joke.
Oh,
and I was like, oh, wow, I'm so glad I found this,
I think there's a couple of comics that will if they get an idea, they'll Google it to make sure that somebody hasn't done it before.
But even then, every joke's not on Google.
I don't do that. I don't do that, and I just got to imagine nobody's thinking like me. But, if they do, and that is the thing. You could have somebody more famous take your joke, and you really do have to drop it because that's kind of the weird thing about this. If whoever hears it first, that they're going to be credited with that joke. Yeah. And there's nothing you can do. But any self-respecting big comedian is not going to do that. They know how hard it is to come up with enough material as it is.
Yeah, exactly. So the way I look at it, if that happens, it's like, I'm not going to be married to any one joke, like if I it's like my ability to write and working on that and getting better at that is more important than just like any one joke. So just,
Yeah, I've got a few that I'd really hate, but eventually, and I'm looking for this point, like Louis C.K. does a new hour every year.
Yeah.
Chris Rock used to. A new hour every year. So everything that you've done is you drop it. You cut a CD, you do a Comedy Central special or an HBO Showtime, and then you drop it. And that's it.
Crazy.
You start all over again. And I think, I get tired of telling some of the jokes, I always try to write a new 4 for each room every week. I started that a long time ago whenever I had the same buddies coming with me.
Yeah.
Every week, so I'd write them a new stuff, and
I'm just not a good enough writer for that yet. It's tough.
Well, you could take anything, and I'd tell you that 9 out of 10 times that you do that, they're going to be duds, but you will have that one that you get to keep, and I've been able to take bits and stuff from other jokes that didn't work and make them into one that I can keep. And so one joke might be a combination of funny lines that happen, and some jokes are 3 different life experiences for me, but they all kind of they did better as one joke, as one event instead of on their own. And I've been able to do that, with jokes, is take this part didn't work, but I can combine it with this one and this one. And I just keep trying still trying to, but you can take anything. Like I did something about the refrigerator repairman coming over to the house, and he ended up being old. He was old as, and I made fun of this old man working on my refrigerator, and here I am, a healthy young guy, and I felt like I needed to be doing something, so I went around the house and started tightening up the doorknobs, and I fixed the clock on the microwave. And, I was just, here's That's this funny. Man working on this. But it was something like that, just anything, just something, and Jay Leno, he says he used to keep a notepad in his pocket, and I think he said like every hour, he would go back and think about what happened to him this past hour, and he'd just write it down, and then he would try to make a joke about it later.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I don't know. I don't know if that's something.
I don't know. I'm still very new, so I'm still figuring out.
How long have you been doing it?
I think like 6 months now.
Okay,
like that.
Yeah, you're real.
Yeah, so.
But still, you've done really good. I enjoy. Because you're such a tall man. You're huge. What is it?
6'8".
6'8". Oh my gosh. And I think you're kind of intimidating, especially at East Room, because not only is that stage is already so high, and then you're up there, and it's just like you're in the rafters. And whenever you make fun of yourself, and everybody does it, self-deprecating thing, that they tell you to do that like in the beginning of a set to relax the audience. If you're making fun of yourself, it relaxes them. And sometimes But I've seen you enough. I know past that. But every time you do it, whenever you did the Sasquatch and all that stuff, it just makes me laugh because it's just. But it's something that is there. You know, you're 6'8". You can't ignore it. Yeah. You know, you gotta address it.
Yeah.
You gotta. I think you got a gold mine there.
Well, I need to do some more stuff about that. I gotta,
scaring old ladies or something. I don't know.
Oh, there you go.
And
well, I've actually got. I'll tell you after the show. I actually got a new one I'm working on that's along those lines. That I don't know if it'll do anything. But.
And at some point, it's not even really self-deprecating so much as just acknowledging the obvious. That I am a huge man. Yeah. And
I like to go like with the self-deprecation stuff. I like to not go like full. So I think. Like I don't want that to become like my thing.
Of Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah, it's constantly. Yeah.
No.
But I do. But I like to do it. I attempt to pull it off in a way to where it's like I'm not taking myself seriously. I'm making fun of myself, but I'm trying to do good things.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not a complete idiot.
Right.
But
we'll talk
here's all these stupid things.
I've got
an
idea.
You know?
I got it. We'll talk about it after this, though.
Okay.
Yeah, you're on it. You're on it right there.
Yeah.
But it's and there again, everybody's different. Everybody's got a different style. Everybody's got an idea and how they want to do it, and that's the way you should go. I mean, it's not going to go perfectly the way you plan.
Yeah.
Whatever your career is going to be.
Oh yeah.
But
it's just it's like anything. If you love it, you're gonna work hard at it. And
nobody ever succeeded by quitting. You know, I heard some guy say, I can't remember now, but persistence. That's it.
Yeah.
Success comes with persistence.
Yeah, never giving up.
If you just keep on.
That's my problem is I tend to be real lazy sometimes. It's just
I love being lazy.
Man, it's
I work
hard.
3 days a week. I'm about as lazy.
Oh
as
yeah. That's not bad. It's just like I do all my work in spurts. That's I don't know why I can't get out of that. I could get so much more done though if I didn't have to. If I wasn't so lazy, I wouldn't have to cram, so much. But that's what I do, and that's where I do some of my best work a lot of times.
Does your energy and motivation kick in late at night?
Yeah, a lot of times. It kind of depends. Depends on what mood
not
I'm
late, but like 7, 8 o'clock. It seems like whenever I start to really that's when I want to get laundry done. That's when I want to iron and all that from like 8 to 10 or something, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'm like that too. It's just that or like right after I wake up. It seems
you get really motivated after you wake up?
Well, after I've been up for a minute. Well, I have a weird thing. Like there's not like a job that I have to like wake up early and then get to, but like I'll wake up leisurely. I'll get on the computer and check mail and stuff. And then I'll be kind of motivated to do some stuff. But then it's like if I don't have anything I have to do, like if I'm not going to shoot videos or anything in the middle of the day, that's where I'll get lazy.
And saying that's what it is right now. Like I work at tourism, and so I'll get busier. But right now, I work 2 days a week maybe, and I find myself staying up till 4 o'clock. My days and nights. I need structure. I need some structure. I need this. I need y'all to come to Nashville and get me busy because I am turning into just useless.
Yeah,
I have nothing to do. I have nothing to do. I do housework and I go hang out with the kids. But other than that, I work, Friday, Saturday, and then that's it. And the rest of my week is, and you would think with all that dead time, that I should be just spitting out jokes right and left. Your whole day should be, but it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
It doesn't for me.
I noticed with my joke writing, it's like most of the time it's like pulling teeth, but then occasionally, like once every week or so, I'll just hit like an oasis. Yeah, like it's like striking gold in a gold mine. It's like and I can't write them down fast enough. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's weird.
I know, and you'll go through. I went through months where it just felt like nothing hit. And nothing,
already I've had some periods like that.
All the everything that you write new is just awful, and then you'll hit a little spurt where that 10 that I was telling you about, five of them are worth keeping. That's great.
Yeah.
And you get fired up again. But as you write more and you get more into it and stuff.
I guess you assume you get better at it, right? Over time.
I don't know. What
do you do you feel like you write jokes like do you crank out good material faster than you did like in your first year?
No, because the newest joke that's on, like if we're doing buddy shows, like Spiffy Squirrel and stuff, that's a good opportunity to have something that you've done, say on Tuesday, didn't know if it went too well over, but to put it in a longer set and put it in with your personality and all that maybe it works better.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Because I was real bad about open mics. If the joke didn't work, I just put it in my little folder and I never looked at it again. I wouldn't tell it again. And now I'm realizing maybe that was just an off night, or that it goes better with the gist of who you are.
I like your making a murderer thing. It's good.
I did too. I liked it.
That.
I think you was the only one that laughed. Nobody laughed at that one.
Really? I thought it did well.
I don't know.
I don't
remember anybody laughing that night.
Really?
Not at my stuff. I thought it was a terrible set.
I don't know. I was laughing my ass off. That's one thing. I'll go up and sometimes I'll be like, I can't remember if like a joke got laughs or not.
Yeah.
I just have like a general idea of like maybe sometimes I'm not even sure if I did well or not.
I feel like I'm I don't have illusions of grandeur or anything. I know when I bomb.
Yeah.
And maybe that's good
well, you definitely know when you bomb because you feel pretty crappy while you're up there.
You'd be surprised. Some people don't realize that they're bombing.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. You talk to enough of them and
yeah.
I've done shows with a guy. This is like a legit show, like a paid gig. And I was hosting and he was featuring. And afterwards, to me, he was doing bad.
Yeah.
And I went up to him afterwards and I was like, man, I think the jokes were just too smart for me. And he's like, what are you talking about? He goes, I thought I did great.
Yeah.
And then he looked like an
idiot. Yeah.
And it was like, oh, well, okay. There's nothing really you can say at that point.
No. I'll tell you what's really awkward is sometimes at open mics, like you meet somebody you hadn't seen before or whatever, and you end up talking to them a lot because you're just standing near them in line or whatever.
Yeah.
They're really nice. And then they go up and they bomb like really bad.
Yeah.
And then you feel awkward when you talk to them after that, You
kind of feel obligated, like you got to say something. And the old school guys, they would bust balls. They like doing that to each other.
Yeah.
I think they kind of, they love seeing each other bomb.
Yeah.
And I think with this, I feel like we're almost kind of like a new generation, but the newer guys that's come in, like with me, I never liked doing that. I always like to give positive.
Yeah, I try to be nice to everybody.
I try to be positive, but you get some of those older guys, they just love to crack on each other. Yeah. And I've heard in New York, like whenever those guys were coming up, Patton Oswalt and who else was it? Greg Giraldo, all those guys, whenever if they heard you do something hacky, you might end up with a pizza in your face. They were they were ruthless. They were really mean to each other but it makes you do better, I guess. Yeah. But I think positive reinforcement helps too.
Yeah.
I
think so. And people know, well, other than some people, I guess, but most of the people can tell if they do well or not.
I think so. But you'd be surprised, really.
I guess you're right. Maybe so.
But I do think, I know. But I've also heard this. You never did as bad as you thought you did, but you also never do as good as you thought you did.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I'll tell you one thing that I've learned in my short time is doing comedy is it's a real bad idea to give somebody comedy advice at a show before you go up. And I'm not saying that I've done this.
Because it's going to
I never did this, but I witnessed it happen.
Did somebody do it to you?
Okay,
somebody give you advice?
Once someone gave me advice, and another time I witnessed this happen. I'll tell both these stories. So
don't say a name.
Don't
say a name.
These aren't people you know anyways.
Okay, all right.
I don't even know their names, to be honest.
Okay.
So this person showed up at an open mic that had never seen me before, and they told me that they like had done comedy or whatever, but they just haven't done it in a long time. And this person was being like real condescending because I didn't know them, you know, at all. And they were just like, and they didn't know anything about me, never seen me or whatever. They just asked me like, so how long have you been doing comedy? And I told them, and like, oh, do you write every day? You know, it's a little condescending for someone like you don't even know, like ask you questions like that. And a bunch of stuff, and I was like, that was kind of annoying. And then she goes up. I was trying to avoid saying the sex of the person, but whatever. It was a girl. She goes up, like not one laugh, like just the worst you could possibly do.
Yeah.
And I did okay that night, but definitely compared to her, it was a lot better. You know, and it was just like I was like, yep, that's what you get for giving somebody advice.
Bit of, jinxing yourself.
Yeah.
And karma and all that. But
and then another time I saw a guy. And it was funny because I didn't know any of the people in this at this open mic. It was in another town, and I could sort of tell that this guy was new for some reason. I just had that inkling, and even though he kind of acted like he'd been doing it for a while, I just got the sense that he didn't really know what he was doing. And he was talking to this guy that was his first time. He'd never done it before, and he's like giving him all this advice and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting. I wasn't really trying to get in on that, and I was sitting there like, this dude's screwing up. He shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah,
he's messing up.
It is. I think it's jinxing you.
Well, guess what happens?
What?
The dude that was giving the advice, just flat out bombs, completely bombs, and he was really awkward on stage.
And the new guy
actually did all right.
Yeah,
he actually got some laughs.
I've been, and I was terrible for this. And whenever I first started, you know, Chad Ryden, been great through the comedy scene, and he's helped me so much. But he would give me advice, and some of it, a lot of it, I remember all of it. But at the time, I might have took some of it, and the other, I just let it, you know, that doesn't pertain to me.
Right.
And it all came true. It all came true. Everything that he's ever told me, it all came true. With Rick Roberts, it all came true. And so now I'm like I've done this a couple of times where I give unsolicited advice to some younger guys.
Yeah.
And
I think there's times where it's fine.
No.
You don't
I'm
think
not
so?
doing it anymore.
Okay. All right.
Not for me.
Okay.
I mean, somebody else can do it, but not for me, because I've offended somebody every time I've tried to do it.
Well, and the thing is, like, because comedy is such a weird thing, you can't really even give someone advice anyways, because everybody's their own.
Just different style.
It's almost like a cook trying to give another cook advice. Well, maybe that's a bad example, but it's an art, so it's not like it's not like a skill.
Italian cook trying to give a
Mexican cook advice. You know, it's something like that.
Maybe because you are the same thing, but you're a different style.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird. Now I think advice about the industry and all that's different. But I mean, as far as like how to be
joke
a better
writing and all
comedian.
that. Yeah.
I heard a story on, I think it was a Rogan's podcast. Again, he was telling a story about one time he was at Dangerfield's, and Rodney Dangerfield was actually there at the time. This was like 20 years ago or something. And he was there like in that robe that he used to wear sometimes, and he had like a drink in his hand.
Yeah.
And this new guy walked up to him, and Rogan said he witnessed this, and this new guy walked up to him. I think it was Rogan that told the story. This new guy walked up to him, and he rattled off all these questions about comedy, you know, and Dangerfield sat there and like waited till he was done. And then when he was done, he looked at the guy and goes, "You'll figure it out," and then walked off.
Yeah, that's true though. I mean, if you do it long enough, and that's what, you know, they told me, you would eventually lose all your friends, the friends from back home.
Yeah.
And I haven't lost them. I'm not around much. You know, if I have free time, I like to stay
Working
home.
on comedy, yeah.
If I'm out at shows, you know, that's so my comedy buddies now, you know, that's who I like. That's what we share in common is comedy. Yeah. That's what I'm passionate about. That's what I want to do more than anything, you know.
Yeah.
And so my buddies back home, you know, your priorities have changed and stuff like that, and they're still there, and I still think, you know, tremendously of them, but I just don't have a lot of time to go out with them, and if I do, it's not that we don't have nothing to talk about. It's just I find myself talking about me, about comedy, or you know, we could talk about anything. We could talk about the old days. We could talk about, you know, whatever. But Comedy just eats me up right now, and that's all I want to talk about. They probably don't want to hang out with me anymore.
Yeah,
that's probably what it is.
I know. Yeah, I know people probably that know me, or even Dad probably gets annoyed with me talking about comedy, but it's just interesting, and it's fun. And
I mean, if that's what you like, that's what it is. Yeah. That's what you're consumed with.
And it's not my only focus, because it's still like it's a side focus, but it's like. But the thing is, though, the thing that I like about it, doing stand up, and I realize like we've talked this whole time just about comedy, but that's okay, and
guns.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah, hold on. I'll give you something to hold, and then that way.
All right,
hang on.
I hope it's not loaded.
No,
I'm not.
This will make up for it. Tangled up.
Holy smokes! Is that an Uzi?
No, this is it's a micro Draco AK. There you go. It's unloaded. I'll even put the safety on.
Okay. Oh man, they're heavy.
Yeah, it's like a condensed down AK-47 is basically what that
really
is. Yeah.
Is this legit? Is this one on the? Is this something that's on the ban list?
No, they'd like it to be though.
They would.
Oh yeah, they'd like it to be.
Is this thing accurate?
Well, it would be if someone
with me. No, it's not going to be accurate.
Like it would be more accurate than it looks. If someone like practiced with it a lot, but it's hard to shoot. It's difficult to hit stuff with it.
Because of the short barrel, or does it have like a big kick?
The barrel is long enough to stabilize the bullet reasonably well, but it, it's just awkward to hold because you don't have a stock or anything like that.
Yeah, there's nothing back here.
Yeah, it's just
a stock back here.
Yeah, yeah. It's just
I should have done the back end. It don't have a back end.
No, it don't have a back end. No.
Okay.
It
so whenever you're shooting it
kind of flips up on you a little bit.
It flips up.
Not high though, just a little. So yeah, I mean,
is it an automatic?
No, it's not full auto. No,
it's a semi-automatic, which means as fast as you could pull the trigger.
Right. Yeah, but if you hold it down, it just fires once.
And an automatic is whenever you hold the trigger
down.
The
trigger down and it keeps firing. Yeah.
Now I've heard of something that was called a fully automatic, and you pull the trigger and it just keeps firing without you touching it.
No, that's what fully automatic is. Fully automatic is when if you hold down the trigger, then it'll keep firing until you release the trigger.
Is there such thing? Somebody you pull a trigger and it shoots like three times without you.
If that happens, then it's called what's called a runaway gun, which is like broken. Like it's not supposed to do that.
Okay, they're not. None of them supposed to do that.
No, but I mean, if you have a gun a
runaway gun,
right, where it just fires and
you ever had that happen?
No, I never have.
I mean, what do you do? It's just sitting there shooting, and you just gotta hold it. Hope you don't hit anybody till it runs out.
It's very rare. There's a few things that you can do if that happens. Like one, if you cut off the ammo supply, like take the magazine out, or if it's a machine gun, break the belt off. So then it's gonna empty really fast.
Okay.
Or you shouldn't be firing a gun unless you're on a range or someone's trying to kill you anyways.
Okay.
So you should be firing. If that happens, you should be already firing it in a safe direction. So just hold on to it until it's done.
All right.
Until it's empty. But that's not very
How many
common.
bullets will that hold?
The magazine holds 30.
All right.
So.
And the banana clip, I know this.
Yeah. Magazine technically.
Oh, okay. Is that shape so that it can hold more? Why is that?
It's because.
Why do you do a shape like that?
Let's see. I'll show you.
Why wouldn't you do one just straight down?
Well, I thought I had a round laying around, but the round, it's tapered at the end, right? It's a net cartridge, so you got like.
And so the points.
So when you stack enough of them, eventually it kind of takes on that shape.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you put more in there than if you did a straight one?
Well, if you did it wouldn't really work with a straight mag very well. Like you couldn't really
Are these bullets that long that you got to have a curved one?
Pretty much, yeah, for an AK.
Is that what that means?
Yeah, because even
all of them have this curved magazine,
right? For that cartridge, yeah, it just works better with the shape of that round.
Okay.
So if you did, I'm trying to think. I guess if you had a straight AK magazine, it probably wouldn't. It probably couldn't be as long because you would eventually, because those rounds are going to gradually kind of move. You know,
they're gonna taper themselves, even in a straight magazine.
Yeah.
They'll start to.
Yeah, it's hard to explain. It's like I don't even understand it well enough myself, to be honest. But
there's some kind of physics,
right? It's a physics thing,
and somebody figured that out a long time ago.
Yeah,
way smarter than me and you.
Yeah, neither of us know enough about it.
That is amazing. That even back muzzle loading, that like, do you think you could make a muzzle loading gun?
No, I'm not. I don't know anything about actually making guns.
Yeah,
No.
That somebody done that a long time ago, and then all of that came from a muzzle loading gun.
Yeah.
All the weapons that we have today, and all the machine guns came from a muzzle loader.
And
right?
what's amazing is the way guns progress so fast, because in around 1860, slightly before, but around 1860, that's where you had the first repeaters, where it was a gun that you could actually fire it multiple times without having to reload. Lever actions, you probably hunted with them.
Yeah, the rifleman.
Exactly, yeah. So like one of the first ones, the Henry, came out in around 1860. So from around 1860 to like 1960, in that 100 years, like that's where all the big evolutions of guns happened, basically. And
from when?
From around 1860 to 1960. Like okay. Not a whole lot has happened. Nothing really big has happened since then. So gun. It's kind of interesting. It's like it all happened really fast, and the guns kind of plateaued. Like this gun right here, AK-47. So this technology has been around for, I don't know, do the math, a long time. So this is 1947 before.
Oh, that's from 47. Okay.
Yeah. Not that particular gun, but the design of it goes back. Yeah.
But so, I don't know. You would think, you got a barrel and you got a bullet, and how much more complicated can you get with it?
That's the thing. Like you could maybe have smaller cartridges that are just as powerful, like some new powder technology, to where you could get like the same power out of a little bullet, and you could have more of them or something.
Right.
But I don't know, until you get to like lasers and stuff.
Right.
Which I don't think laser guns are going to work like we think. Because light is continuous. It's not like Star Wars. You can't like shoot a beam of light that travels. It doesn't really work that way.
I don't know.
Had to be just some kind of.
Would you own a laser gun?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I would own everything that they let me own.
Anything that shoots.
If I had the money, I would buy a tank.
Yeah.
But I don't, so I'll buy one later.
I saw watching Diesel Brothers last night, and they had like these little mini tanks.
Wow, that's cool.
Like something from Sweden. It actually had a trailer with it. They had to be together, but they could transport like 12 people, and it wasn't no wider than this couch. That'd be cool to have.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
You can actually buy, you can legally buy a full-size tank. I saw a website the other day where you can buy like a Russian T-72.
Yeah, Russia sells anything.
Oh, yeah.
You could probably buy a submarine.
Probably.
You probably could buy.
That would be pretty wicked. That's one thing I don't get is like, if I had like Donald Trump money, like I would do cool stuff.
I would buy stupid stuff.
You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't just have a bunch of big hotels. I mean, you'd have some. You got to make money, right? But I would have cool stuff like that.
I'd want to trash cars. That's been the biggest. Like I'd buy me and you a car, and us go down the interstate, and like how you see it on movies where they just go, run it up against the guardrail and all that. I want to do that.
That'd be awesome.
I want to jump a car too. So it's probably good that I don't have any money.
Or you could do if you built this really high tower, let's say right out in this field, like a really high tower. And then you got like a regular full-size pickup truck, like a brand new one, and had it outfitted to where it was remote control. Stand up in that tire and that tower.
You don't have to be in it.
Just drive it around and wreck it.
Yeah, yeah, I would like that. I do. I want to get in a demolition derby.
Yeah,
I want to do that. But
I know there's a place I'm actually trying to work something out with them to where we can go up there and shoot some video and stuff. It's called driveatank.com. And it's up in Minnesota, and basically, if you pay them enough money, you can drive a tank over a car. That's pretty cool, right?
That would be. Have you seen this website? It's rich guys. What's it called? And they take like something like a Ferrari F40 and run it around the farm, and just, I mean, and not just an F40 in itself is rare.
Yeah.
But this one is like some kind of signature series, some kind of racing edition. Like there were only 5 of them.
Yeah.
And he's doing like some kind of gymkhana around the farmyard, getting it dirty. I mean, just ragging it out. And he has Bentleys. It's something like something the rich.
Not sure.
It's like Screw the Rich or something like that. But and it's him. He's saying Screw the Rich, but he shows himself
it's like
out in the pasture drifting a Bentley and just getting it all muddy and stuff. Or
you know, people. That's one thing. Like I hate it when people will give wealthy people a really hard time. You know, now like there's reasons to, but like it just in general, like as a blanket statement, they're like, oh, those idiots with their money.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: when he bought that car, everybody who needed to get paid got paid.
Right.
So what's it matter if he takes care of it and puts it in his garage, or if he goes and tears it up? Like, who cares, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing, too, is that, you know, the rich, you know, Donald Trump, you can hate him, but how many people does he employ?
Yeah, exactly.
How many people does he take care of? How many houses does he put bread on the table? And, you know, a lot of people say they're all crooks and stuff like that, but they just had better ideas than you and me.
Yeah.
And they got rich off of that. Bill Gates had better ideas than the rest of us.
Right. And even with athletes, that bugs me when people say, yeah, look at these overpaid athletes. First of all, nobody in this world, or not, there might be a few, let's say, but like basically nobody in this world is overpaid. Like, you think that they pay athletes millions of dollars just out of the goodness of their heart? No.
It's
because they're bringing in an insane amount of cash.
Right. They demand. People want to see him. LeBron James, people want to see him.
Yeah.
And he has the talent to back it up. And talent, I don't think if people understand, you know, all these athletes, talent means something else that not everybody else has.
It's rare. That's why they're worth so much.
Exactly. And you know, I think they should be rewarded for that. I'm sure there's a lot better people out there that never had the opportunity to make it onto the court or be seen or whatever. Yeah. But, you know, let's celebrate the ones that are. And I say that from a comedy standpoint. You know, if you like my stuff, you know, celebrate me. Let's give me lots of money.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody listening, you got to go see Monty Mitchell. You got some stuff on YouTube, right, Monty?
Yeah. Don't
look at it.
No, you can. It's just most of it's old. There's some new stuff. They have like a comedy catch in the background. It's a bricks. Oh, there's also one from Raleigh. Good Nights. But if it's got a brick wall behind it, it's gonna be all right. But if it's dark and dingy and it looks like it was shot in it's crap.
Okay. But yeah, like people are good at lots of different kinds of things. You know, like people will make that argument, like, you know, teachers don't get paid enough, and which teachers do need to get paid more. But people will get mad that look at this professional athlete making all this much more money than a teacher. That's just so ridiculous.
Right.
Well, there's a lot of people who are willing to be teachers. That's why, you know, they don't get paid as much as a professional athlete.
That's right.
You know?
Too much supply.
Exactly. It's supply and demand.
Too much supply on the teachers and the teachers' part, and not enough on the athletes. But it
people can take that kind of stuff too far. You know, it's easy to be, you know, to sit here and be like, oh, look at me, I'm the small man, and look at these people that are towering above me financially, and they have everything and I don't, and to make it like it's their fault somehow or whatever. It's like, look,
I can't stand the victim thing.
America,
all the time.
America, with all of its faults, it's still a place where you can make some pretty great stuff happen if you have the right ideas and the right work ethic. You know,
it is great. America's great, and I don't have a strong opinion about anything politically. I think the ideas that are put in place, that we have, the way that everything's going, we're going to be fine no matter who's in office. You know, you'll still be able to do comedy.
Yeah.
Your guns, I don't know about that, but you know,
that's where it gets tricky. Yeah.
But my comedy, well, you know, I'll still be able to do that, and for the most point, I think. We're all going to be fine, and we are still able to make money here, and still is a capitalist kind of country, I think.
Yeah, yeah. For the most part.
See, I really don't need to get into this part. I really don't. I don't know nothing about nothing.
Yeah.
And I do not need to be, and I don't want to piss off anybody. And
oh man, because it's funny on the internet whenever you
expose yourself out there.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is there's always somebody out there listening who's like an expert and knows a lot about that one thing that you happen to mention.
Yeah.
You know
and so then they want to lay it on you.
Right. So like if you say something wrong, you hear about it, which in a way is a cool thing because I've actually learned a lot from people correcting things that I say that are wrong. Because of course I say stuff that's wrong all the time. I mean, I'm a person and I'm not a nerd, so I don't study everything all the time. But it gives you this sense that like your audience on the internet or on YouTube like knows everything.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Somebody does.
Because somebody does.
Somebody does. My granddaddy was a captain in World War II, and he had a platoon of like 1,000 men. He said that he could get anything he wanted. Somebody in that platoon knew how to do it. Somebody. I don't care if he wanted a fishing pole or if he wanted a monster truck. Yeah. Somebody in his platoon could do that for him. Could make it for him, and that's great. That's what's great about. You know, America.
Yep, America. You came up with that, right? No, that's yours. No.
But I stole that. That's but anyways.
Oh yeah, what we kept getting distracted. I wanted to talk about the Amy Schumer thing before we'll close it off here in a minute, but I wanted to talk about that briefly because I watched a bunch of different. I watched listened to most of. The radio show where I think it was Jim Norton, where she talked to Jim Norton about it after it all broke and was getting big, and I watched a lot of different YouTube videos. I saw the YouTube videos where people were showing where she had stolen the jokes or suspected she'd stolen the jokes, and
so she was on Norton talking about it.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
After it all blew up.
After the whole idea of it.
What'd she say?
Well, here's the thing. You know, she said a lot of stuff. The one red flag for me,
denying it.
Yeah, she denied that she took anything. She said she would never steal any jokes. She said that it was parallel thinking and all this kind of stuff. Here's the thing. I think more than likely, as fun as it is to like, tear down someone on top or whatever, like people, especially on the internet, we just love to do that.
Yeah.
I think it was the writers of her show. Honestly, I think it was a combination of some really hacky writers on her show, and
she didn't know
that she didn't know, and also maybe she put out some hacky stuff. I don't think that she actually knowingly took anybody's bit.
The jokes that are they kind of generic?
Well,
type premises.
The ones on her stand up, she had some joke about. I can't really say what it is, I guess, on this show, but it's like it was a Patrice O'Neal bit, and it was pretty similar, but it's also like a thing though that's kind of out there. So that one I can kind of understand. Okay. That probably doesn't explain it very well, but
no,
people can go look at it and they'll get it. But the one where it was really obvious was she had a sketch on her show that was like identical to something that was on Mad TV, and it even had like these two parts of it that were related in both sketches. That's too big of a coincidence. I think that was the writers probably.
I think you're right. I think Amy has too much to lose right now, and she didn't get to where she's at by stealing stuff and being hacky.
Right.
I got to think that's somebody else and she just didn't know because man, she's on fire right now.
Yeah.
She is and she is. I like her. I'm a fan. I think she's funny. And you don't do that. Carlos, he's still rebuilding his image after doing it. Super nice guy, according to everybody that I've talked to. Couldn't be the nicest guy in the world, and he's still trying to rebuild.
Yeah. Do you think he actually did steal?
I don't know. I didn't look into it that much.
It's a shame how. It's like anything. It's so easy to have your reputation just completely dragged through the mud, and it may or may not have been your fault.
Well, and I mean, I just don't understand why either one of them would do it because they're both high profile. Mencia was on top of the world whenever all this broke loose. He had his own show and all that. Why would you even risk that?
Yeah.
Why would you even do that? Because you're gonna get caught.
Especially now, that's one thing about Mencia that's different, I think, from the Amy Schumer thing, is that I think a lot of that with Mencia happened before the internet got real big. You know what I mean? Before the internet was like a real big thing. It was around, but it wasn't like a big deal yet, to where people were scouring it for every bit of information.
Right.
So I could see where he might have thought he could have gotten away with it. Okay. Where Amy, if she has any sense at all, would have to know that she stole something.
She's the number one comedian, you know, with Trainwreck coming out this year or last year. But she probably is the number one on top of the world comedian right now. So there's just too much. I don't know how long ago this happened, though. Is it been recently on her?
It recently kind of blew up, like in the past month, basically.
But it was on her show. It was aired.
Yeah, there was a skit
recently.
No, I think it aired a little while ago. I think most of the stuff was like a little bit older. So it's just people finding it. Honestly, they dug into every big comedian.
Yeah, they're going to.
They could find stuff.
I don't get it. People just hate and just want. They see somebody having fun, somebody having some success.
They want to bring it down.
They just want to rip into you. And with the internet, you can do that so easily now.
Oh, yeah. Very easily.
You know, what I do with my tour bus thing, the tour business, is that they can go on TripAdvisor. Everybody's a critic now. And you can have 20 people that had a good time on my tour. And then you have that one that has to leave the bad review. Yeah. And I don't get this.
And then the 20 people don't leave a good review.
No, if they had a good review, they usually go on about their business. They go on about their day. But somehow that I offended this person when everybody else, you know, you're the one person that complained. You're the one that got offended, or you're the one that decided not to have a good time.
Yeah.
And then you're going to take it onto internet and tell everybody. And that's the thing, you know, everybody's a critic now. You can go on the internet and you can tell them how you feel and what you think, and it still hurts my feelings.
Yeah.
It does. I might have 20 good reviews right there in the line, and then I'll have that one bad one, and I just dwell on that one.
Yeah. Especially because, you know, people can go in there and see that and stuff.
Yeah.
I could see that, yeah. I get on YouTube comments, I'm pretty jaded to criticism just because I've been doing this for like 7 years now.
Oh, okay.
It's just like, God, on YouTube, like whatever the
How
worst.
many comments will you have per video?
That just depends on the video. Like these radio shows, maybe like 50, something like that. But on like, you know, the Hickok 45 videos, hundreds, thousands, you know.
Really?
And there's gonna be some real
mean stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Baby killer.
Well, no, anything you can imagine, it's going to be on there. You know, sometimes it'll be just real generic, and sometimes it'll be more specific. But just like you just get jaded to it, and I just have fun with it. Sometimes it's fun to like respond to people and try to like make comebacks and stuff.
I don't like it.
You know, so
I hate it. It hurts my feelings, but that's somebody's going to eat that up too on this thing.
Oh yeah, there'll be all these hateful comments now.
Yeah, they're just going to tear me apart.
Yeah.
What a wuss. What a wuss. Little pansy.
Yeah.
How are you even friends with a guy like that? You should have took your gun and shot him in the head right then. He's such a waste.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, whatever. People, I think a lot of times it's kids. They're just, you know how it is when you're like 13.
Trying to get some attention or whatever. You just like causing trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
See, they don't get to do like we did where we go out and rut somebody's yard or roll it or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
You go on the internet and hurt somebody's feelings.
Exactly. Hey, if you're gonna put yourself on the internet, though, you gotta be ready for it.
You do. I'm not gonna read it. You can write all you want. I'm not gonna read it.
Okay.
That's what I do on TripAdvisor. I don't even read it anymore.
Yeah.
It hurt my feelings too many times. Y'all can.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's one way to do it. All right. Well, we'll finally wrap this thing up, and so they can find you on YouTube. How else can people find you?
Yeah, you can go to funnymonty.com. Monty Mitchell is taken. It's some big architect up in New York City.
Oh, that's
waiting for him to miss that payment, and I can jump on.
Yeah.
Because nobody's going to find you on .net or anything like that. So it's funnymonty.com. And that right there, I didn't really like that because that's already like sounds arrogant.
Yeah. I don't know.
There's going to be a lot of people that don't think I'm funny at all, and they're going to be like, "That's very
comedy's
assuming."
like food. That's what I always say. Comedy's like food. It doesn't matter what level you achieve. Like to me, Louis C.K. is one of the greatest comics right now. There's people that don't like him.
I can't imagine.
Same thing.
I can't imagine how. I mean, you don't have a funny bone in your body if you can't see the genius. But
there's people that hate. Like Bill Hicks is one of my
yeah.
favorites.
Now
a lot of people don't like him.
I don't like Bill Hicks.
You don't like Bill Hicks? Okay, I like him, but it's like, but that's just how comedy is. It's like some people are an acquired taste.
Well, see, I probably like Dane Cook, and I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I like him okay, but he's not like my style really. But
right.
But
it is. You're right.
But that's how it is, though. You know, so it's like, so when people, it's so funny when people will, like when I put, some of my comedy stuff up there, and people were for the most part nice because whatever, they just, they were feeling generous.
Wait till you're worldwide known, though.
Oh my God! Oh, that'll never happen.
It would be.
But there were people that they would be like, don't quit your day job, stuff like that,
Yeah.
And it's like, that guy was just waiting for a chance to say it. You know?
He thought he was.
Yeah.
You think whenever they make mean comments like that they're just going to get like this wave of people going, "Oh my gosh, he's so right. He's so funny. Look at him. Look at his honesty. Look at him just spot on with the meanness."
Yeah. I think what they're hoping is that you'll be offended and that you'll like reply or something like that. Which I rarely get. I can't even remember the last time I actually got truly offended by a comment like that, because usually it doesn't hit very close to home at all, because it's like they're trying to make it hit close to home, but they don't have all the information, so it just kind of like really misses,
Yeah.
And so like when you do stuff like that, like it's to be like somebody, they're like really trying to get you, and they like, let's say, I don't know if you have a brother or not. Like, do you have a brother? Okay,
I got 5 sisters.
Okay, so you don't have a brother. If someone would start talking about your brother, you'd be like, okay, I don't have one, like that kind of, like that kind of stuff. Like they're trying to get you, but they just completely miss.
Right.
A lot of it's like that, and it's fun to egg them on sometimes, but whatever.
Can you weed out the bad comments and just let me see the good ones if there's any?
Okay, all right. I'll just text them to you. I'll make some up.
That would be great. I like to live in a fairy tale world.
Yeah.
Where everybody likes me. And
everybody,
I like them.
Everybody be really nice to Monty Mitchell in the comments.
Oh my God, we're setting this up to be awful.
Oh, we are. Well, do you have a Facebook or anything like that?
Yeah, it's Facebook. There's
Monty Mitchell Facebook.
Yeah. I went through and I friended every Monty Mitchell on Facebook. Okay. There's quite a few of us.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
I'm one of the white ones.
Okay.
But there is quite a few Monty Mitchells, and I friended every one of them.
Really?
Yeah. And it's funny because sometimes you'll see your name pop up in the news feed.
Oh yeah.
I say Monty Mitchell, and I'm reading it, and it for a split second it's like I don't remember this, and then I realized that's not me. And it's the other guy. But
that's funny. All right. Well,
all right.
I'll put some other stuff in the description or whatever, links how they can find you in the video. But yeah,
we might not want to do that.
Okay. All right. Well, man, but really though, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It was fun. I got to learn about a gun, and
yeah, dude, we'll do it again sometime.
Yeah.
I want to get some more Nashville guys, on podcasts and stuff. I'll get you and some other people. It's fun too when you have 3 people. That's fun.
Then you got a big clash of minds, and
people bounce off and stuff.
Be like,
get Brad Edwards on here, and he hates guns though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be
funny,
a thing.
though.
That would be good.
Yeah.
You get him and Sean Parrott. They're very good at back and forth. They've got just great.
I would never be able to get a word in.
I don't think so either. I would just be happy to watch them. Just watch them talk. Just throw a topic out there and let them go at it.
But you gotta I've talked about this some already. But I've got a show that I'm doing called Comedians Shoot Machine Guns. So you gotta.
I want to do that.
Yeah, I want to get Brad Edwards on there too, even though he hates guns.
You know what? I bet he will love it though.
You think so?
Yeah, I think if he feels the power and all that, and especially if you can get something that he can see the damage,
we'll just be paper targets, but I think he could enjoy it, especially if it's something that's.
I think we should get some
easy to
milk
shoot.
jugs or something out there, something that would explode and show the carnage. I think he would get addicted to it.
He probably would. Guns are fun, man. And it's not, I think people. Okay, we'll end on this. It's like Southern goodbye. It just keeps going and going and going. But the thing is, with guns, though, I found it is like, a lot of people don't like guns because they have this idea in their head that's been cooked up from the media and movies and all this stuff about how dangerous and unpredictable they are. And when they actually get one in their hands, then they kind of realize this is not that big of a deal. Like, as long as you follow some basic
I don't own
rules.
one. I don't own one, but every time that I've shot one, I want more. I want to keep shooting.
It's fun, and you realize that it's not that hard to be safe with a gun. It's not unpredictable. Like, the bad stuff comes out one end, and you just make sure that that's pointed in a safe direction at all times.
There you go.
And with a few other rules thrown in, it's like it's one of the safest things out there. It's not the safest thing out there, but it's it's safer than a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of dangerous things, it's pretty safe. So
yeah.
All right. Well, we'll finally end this debacle.
Oh my gosh! All right, thank you very much, though.
Had a lot of fun, though, man.
Yeah,
and we'll do it again.
All right, thanks, man.